Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSaveTV. My name is Mike and today we're talking about the facilities in XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. There's only one new facility, but this will be very useful for especially newer players who want to start the game off. We will cover things like what your facilities are actually doing, what kinds of facilities you should build first within your first 3 buildings, right, with the available 15 power window that you have at the start. What are the supply costs of building these things, what is the preferable base layout if you can stick to it, and I think that's it. But first and foremost, we're gonna start with talking a little bit about the facilities. You already have them on screen. Unless I missed anything, there should be 12 of them, okay? And it's not ranked in their priority or whatever, it's not like this at all. It's just, you know, a bunch of things that are, you know, are in the game. There's 12 of them in total, again, if I didn't forget anything. And they all do different things, they're all important in their different ways. But you don't have to build all of them, even though you have exactly 12 slots. It doesn't always work like this. And generally speaking, it almost never does. Let's start off with a workshop. You can if you build a workshop in like adjacent to other buildings, let's say here in the center, I can staff engineers in my workshop and send them to resistance communications above power relay to the right and whatever I build to the left and below me. This way I can double the number of my effective engineers. I have 6, so I would effectively have 8 engineers, and I can staff my other facilities by using a workshop. I can only have 1 workshop in my whole base, so you have to be really clever about the way you place it. But honestly, it's usually like, okay, so I have resistance communications and I have power relay. Bomb workshop, or here, bomb workshop. You're good to go. Like, it's the ones that you have to constantly supply with engineers, and having a workshop helps tremendously. Laboratory is the one I built here. First of all, it allows you to have increased chance of breakthroughs, which is really important because breakthroughs are these little shifty things that you get from... Let's take a look at the archive. Sometimes you get them after completing the normal research. Let's say modular shotguns, you get an additional slot for upgrades on your shotguns, or improved pistols. Permanent increases +1 damage with all the pistols. Or ballistic weapons upgrade. You can check Wikipedia for those, they're really, really good. I actually helped writing this, so on Wikipedia, so I think I've mentioned everything there. And sometimes you get those that decreases your cost too, so it can be really useful sometimes. So having those is super important, especially having the right ones. I haven't been the most successful. Like, I really like this one, and this one. I don't necessarily like those. I like the shotgun one, but it's a late game upgrade, and I got it fairly early on, which threw off my timings a little bit. But whatever, that's what Laboratory does for you. The next one is the Shadow Chamber. Shadow Chamber is this building right here. It allows you to... not only is it required to complete the game, but that's not the most important aspect of it. When you go on a mission, it allows you to see the types of enemies you're going to encounter and the total number of enemies. Extremely useful when you want to avoid casualties and when you want to think, okay, do I take AMP grenades, do I take fire bombs instead, what's going to be the most preferable soldiers that I want to take here, and what's going to be the most preferable equipment I want to take here. The next one is the Proving Ground. It's another building that you need to actually require to complete the game. It allows you to build hundreds of different things, okay, not actually hundreds, maybe under 100, like 50 things. Armors, explosives, experimental ammo, grenades, heavy weaponry, the armor that you put, you know, the underlayers. There's, I think, 4 of them in the game. The base one, the hazmat vest, plated vest, and the stasis vest. Thank you so much, the mod dude, helps me so much. You also can build the Skulljack, which is important to complete the game, an important source of gaining new intel. Yeah, you can also build the exosuit, warsuit, spider suit, and then the, what's it called? Spectre? Wraith suit. Wrath. The Wraith suit. And Sparks. Beep, beep, bippity bop. The best unit in the early game. Doesn't scale so well to late game, but super, super powerful early on. So like this, right? Next one, we go to the power relay. The power relay is the building right here. It allows you to staff it with engineers and produce power for the Avenger. Power for the Avenger is super important because it's the energy supply for your entire base. Not much else to say about that. Every other facility consumes energy. Power relay is the only facility that generates this energy. Resistance communications right here, where you staff engineers to be able to make more contacts on Geoscope. You have 16 regions that you can contact, like 3 in North America, 2 in South America, 3 in Africa, 4 in Asia, 2 in Europe, 2 in Oceania. And to contact them, you need to have the resistance communications. There's other ways to get contacts, but they're not as reliable as this one. Then you have the GTS, GTS is right here, Guerrilla Tactics School. It allows you to upgrade new things for your squad. The most important of which is, of course, the squad size 2. They allow you to have 5 and 6 soldiers on each individual mission, and additional upgrades for your soldiers, which are super, super powerful. Cost a lot, but they upgrade all of your soldiers at the same time. Super important, super useful. The training center is another upgrading facility. It allows you to bond your soldiers further, and it allows you to basically respect your soldiers. Also, it allows you to train the additional abilities on your soldiers. Like, for example, let's take our grenadier right here. She's not particularly smart. She has just standard combat intelligence. But if she would have, let's say, genius or savant, she would have quite a lot of additional soldier ability points. And also, we can use our XCOM wide ability points to get more abilities. We can level up the ones that she didn't pick up before. So let's say you picked up Shredder, right? But you also want the blast padding. Boom. There you go, now you have blast padding as well. This way you can tremendously increase the effectiveness of your individual soldiers and also get additional abilities that they shouldn't be having, like rapid fire. Oh yes, that's kind of nice. So, just like this. And then you have trainings, okay, I mentioned it, Resistance Ring. Resistance Ring is the facility that you use to issue covert operations. In the original game, in the core game, you will only be able to issue one, regardless of the level of your resistance ring, but having it just allows you to do that. It's very important. And additionally, if you upgrade it, you will be able to get more and more orders from XCOM. That's the cards that you have. Allow me to demonstrate them to you real quick. These cards are very important to get an upper hand on the strategic layout of the game. There you go, like this one. This is super powerful for obvious reasons. So you have your own. You have Templars, Skirmishers, and Reapers. You can have 2 with all of the factions, so 6 total, and you have up to 3 with you. The 3 of yours are wild cards, they can be literally anything. And as you can see, super powerful. Just give it a glance, right? So many cool things that you can accomplish by having these orders. Get additional power, get additional benefits, reduce costs, increase cost of sold items, get more recruits, you know, so many cool things. Very important. Next one is the defensive Mattox. I don't have it currently built, and I actually don't have rack of a turret to research this. I don't know how this happened, but here it is. 4 months into the game, I still don't have it. Defensive Mattox allows you to defend your base when it's under attack from a UFO or a Chosen. Obviously super important. Why is it important, Mike? Oh, well, because you don't want to die, right? You can do it without, but on Commander and Legend difficulty, you definitely want to have Defensive Mattox, because unless you're super confident in your skills. It's not that it's impossible to win without these additional turrets, but having 4 turrets with incredible stats and squad side capacity to fire, honestly, really transforms these battles, so it's a really important thing. Also, supposedly Defensive Mattox is supposed to protect you against sabotage from the Chosen, but I think in the original game it doesn't work. I actually use a mod to fix this particular error, and it helps me a little bit, but it never comes to play, to be honest, because it's like such a few and far in between. I never really care about those. And then you have the Psi Labs and the Infirmary. The last two, but not least, definitely. Psi Labs allows you to build one of the strongest units in the game, a Psi operative. So you put your soldier in your Psi Lab and he forever starts. Let's go like this, for example. So you put, let's say Estella, and she will sit there and train her abilities indefinitely, and you will be able to take her on missions, but as she slowly trains up, she will become stronger and stronger. So it's one of the things that you have to build in mid-game if you really want to benefit from them. Building them in early game is almost, like, I think it's impossible, actually. Not almost, it's impossible. So if you want to benefit from psionics in late game, you need to build them in mid-game, and make, like, right now, for me, basically. If I want to do it, I need to do it right now. It's the 4th month. I could actually do it a little earlier, too. And yes, because it takes time and effort, but it's a really, really powerful unit to have. And the last one, but not least, is the Infirmary, which allows you to heal your soldiers faster. I actually played this entire playthrough without it, but then again, I had gazillion recruits. Take a look at this shit. 14 available, 7 wounded, 9 unavailable. Think about this, like, it's a million recruits, right? It's around 30 people, if I'm not mistaken. 8 plus 8, 16 plus 40, yeah, 30 people. So I really didn't need an Infirmary. And I tried to take my rookies on missions as much as I could, so I could level them up a little bit. So I have fairly, honestly, stacked roster. Also, luckily, I only lost 2 soldiers in the entire playthrough, so it's like, I'm doing really good. So yeah, there you go. So, this is about the buildings. right? Okay, so the next step is, how do you start out? So to do this, let me just remove fucking everything I have here. To do this, let's go to engineering, build facilities, and let's destroy everything we have. Okay, cool. Okay, so there we go. What are we doing in here? So when we started the game, we only have 15 power, right? Out of 15, we already use 6, so we only have 9 power left. 9 power is enough to build 3 buildings. The classical start would be something like you go for GTS first. You go for something like, let me think real quick. You would go, I think you would go for Resistance Ring. Actually, not even that, yeah, not even that. You wouldn't go for this. You would go for Proving Grounds. And you would go for the Infirmary. That's the classical build. That would be working in XCOM 2 original game. However, in War of the Chosen, a lot of things have changed. And a lot of things that changed are, essentially, there's 2 additional cool buildings. There is the Resistance Ring, that allows you to issue cover tops. And there is the, hold up. The Training Center Laboratory, right? Which they adjusted. It allows you the higher chance of breakthroughs. So this is 5 items that are really good in the early game, from which you have to choose. Personally, I myself like to build it this way. I'll show it to you in a second. I like to build my laboratory first, and then I go for my shadow ring, a resistance ring, to get the cover tops as fast as I can, to get more engineers and scientists, if I'm lucky, right? Laboratory again, if I'm lucky. And the third one I have to build, Guerrilla Tactics School. From these 5 items I mentioned, all of them are super powerful, super useful. But for different players, obviously different strokes. And also, most importantly, the one you cannot not build is the Guerrilla Tactics School. This one is necessary to build if you want to win the game. Because having only 4 soldiers is not gonna cut it for the, for a very long time. Especially on Legend difficulty, it becomes really, really impossible to play the game effectively while only having 4 soldiers. So Guerrilla Tactics School is something that you have to build as soon as possible. And you have to build it on every difficulty to make your game just a little more tolerable. Because having an extra soldier, or having extra 2 soldiers, is a massive increase in power to your squad. It's an increase of power of 25%, of 25%, and basically 50% on the second one. It's additional people, it's something that you really want to have. So, okay, there's nothing much to say about this, that's very simple. But obviously, it's up to your preference. If I would have to go for a more conservative build for the War of the Chosen, I would go Guerrilla Tactics School, then I would go the Resistance Ring, and then I would go Infirmary. I think that will work for most players. I think it's a very balanced building. And then you would go for other things like Proving Grounds and shit to get more of the weapons, armors, bullets, the Skulljack, etc. Oh wow, she has a thing. Build facilities. Okay, so there you go. So one thing to note when you're building all these things, you cannot get too excited, and I'll explain to you why. Every month, the Resistance drops you supplies. And the supplies is denominated here in the income parameter. Right now we have 540 because we deleted all of our buildings. Every time you build everything, even upgrades, take a look at this. If you build an upgrade, monthly upkeep, 35. This is the amount of money that is deduced from your income, right? Well, the monthly income. While this is the cost that it takes to build this upgrade right now. Bam, we build it, income reduced. So if I just go ahead and like an idiot build this, and build that, and build this, and some more of that shit, and maybe some of those, maybe a couple of this, maybe go for a bunch of those, a couple of this, suddenly we'll have no money when they're built, right? From 500 a month, we'll drop down to say 100 at best, right? So, when you build your base, two things you have to pay attention to. Your power and your income. Because if you don't have enough power, you cannot build at all, right? And if you don't have enough income, you cannot support these facilities, and you have to be really careful. You cannot be stupid with this, because it can really come back and bite you in the ass. Now, how do we actually, lay out our base? In the original XCOM, more specifically, in the Enemy Unknown, in the previous part of the franchise, because there's more. I understand I confuse people like this. You had to lay out your base very smartly. So you would go like something like this. You would go laboratory, and then you would go laboratory, laboratory, and you would spam them so that you get adjacent bonus. You can no longer do it here, but there's one building that does this, the workshop. Workshop allows you to staff engineers in workshop, creating the gremlin drones, which then staff the adjacent rooms. It works like this. If I put it here, it goes to left, right, top, and bottom. So we would put workshop in here, and if we staff 2 engineers here, we can supply resistance comms and power relay without engineers from a workshop. It allows you to save the number of engineers that you have, and allows you to work with lower number of engineers. This is the only building that utilizes the adjacency bonus. Everything else you can just build whatever with whatever. You can build like resistance rings and then toilets next to it. Nothing's gonna happen, no problem. And I think that's it. That's all I wanted to mention on this topic. So you have to experiment, to be honest. Like, I would never know that Laboratory is a strong start if I didn't try. Because when I started first, as I said in my previous guide, I thought it's going to be a terrible idea, and it was amazing, and I loved it, and I still spam it all the time. But one building that you must build is the Guerrilla Tactics School. Without this school, you're going to lose the game. You might as well just restart right away. If you don't build it in one of the first 3 buildings, you're going to lose the game. Almost guarantee this to you. So yeah, that's about that I have for the facilities in your base. I hope this was helpful. If it was, don't forget to put a like on this video, subscribe for more. I cannot speak, dude, I'm still sick. It's super hard. I hope you don't mind, but you know, if you mind, suck my dick. I really cannot, and I must do this, so you know, get out the way, boy! So thank you so much for watching, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.